born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
There it is, tonight's red hot video. Great stuff. A liberal with a bullhorn screaming, "I want everybody to come together," as a terrorist knocks him out of the way to throw a nail bomb at some peaceful protesters in New York City. The irony, a leftist, they have no sense of irony, as you know, leftist lunatic complaining that everyone should be welcome in New York City, only to have a terrorist thug run up and push him out of the way and throw his improvised explosive device over his shoulder, just for good measure. Great stuff. But the fake news people at CNN, they didn't see that thug and fellow jihadist that the rest of us saw, both now charged with throwing bombs, with terrorism and all that good stuff, as CNN saw them as two regular kids having a fun day in the city, and the weather was nice, and CNN posted, this is what CNN actually reported. They said, two Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. That sounds good, but what happened to the terrorist bombs being thrown there? CNN has since deleted that post, and shame and embarrassment if they're capable of that, with the explanation they had to post a second tweet saying, a post regarding the two individuals arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all our reporting. That's what CNN said. I've got to say, this perfectly sums up CNN's editorial standards, and they missed the story completely. And they're still, even in their alleged correction here, they forgot to say two Islamic jihadi lunatics threw homemade nail bombs at a crowd of peaceful protesters. And it's kind of ironic because the peaceful protesters were saying, we don't want to Islamize New York City, right? With the Muslim mayor who hates the Jews and loves jihad. And instead, they still say it's like, two nice people in New York City.
Yeah, two teenagers hanging out in the warm weather.
They're teenagers. They're having a good time.
Sunbathing.
They rode their bikes into the city.
Yeah, they're planning bombs. Look, CNN doesn't want to offend anyone, especially not the terrorists, but the only person they want to offend is Donald Trump and the conservatives. It's what they do all the time. It's what their target is. It's what their leftist propaganda is. And it is really, truly disgusting that, they talk about how their standards continuously. You worked at CNN. Come on, Chris.
I know.
How
when he left,
I remember.
So dramatically from trying to provide objective journalism to now let's protect these, radical Islamic, that basically these terrorists who have tried to kill innocent people.
Yeah, terrorist jihadis. And I've got to say, actually, it really is embarrassing. And then they came back, it doesn't meet our editorial standards. And everybody laughed. That was really the punchline to the whole thing because it's such an embarrassment. And still, they're just smoothing it over and using the most gentle language possible. And they're teenagers. You're envisioning kids on Stingray bicycles riding into the city to have a nice time on a warm day.
Yeah, I go back to the days of CNN trying to fact check everyone. How are they doing now? They're having to fact check themselves on this. And I get that's going back a little bit to honest journalism, but get the entire story, right? Before you do all this, just check into things. And it's really just simple journalism at that point. But these kids, if there was an idea of the police presence being there, I don't know how you don't report that, immediately after. And I just laugh at the guy with the blowhorn. Oh, we're all here peaceful protesting as a guy's jumping over his shoulder, throwing a, nail bomb, basically.
Well, and the poor Muslim mayor and all the news media, they're giving reports like bombs found outside Muslim mayor's house. They don't mention in 100 different reports that the bombs were thrown there by radical Islamic jihadi terrorists. And they act like...
And how do we know that? Because he was screaming, in Arabic and ISIS terminology, basically. So,
and as white supremacists, they're talking about and he's saying they're racists, there are bigots out there. Well, then there were two guys that threw bombs, and that's kind of a thing too. Now, here's another radical left-wing maniac the lefties love, of course, Mahmoud Khalil. You may remember him, the anti-Semite Hamas lover who incited riots at Columbia University in New York, and he's now a welcome guest in the home of New York City's mayor, the communist anti-Semite Islamist mayor there, Zohran Mamdani, posting, listen to this, A year ago, Mahmoud was walking home through our city when he was detained by federal agents, flown to Louisiana, and then held in an ICE facility for months. In that time, he was forced to miss the birth of his first child. All of this for exercising his First Amendment rights in protesting the ongoing genocide in Palestine. There was no genocide in Palestine. He wasn't exercising his First Amendment rights. Everything's a lie from the communists to jihadi mayor. Then he continued. Last night, as we marked the one-year anniversary of his detention, it'll become a national holiday later, Rama and I were honored to welcome Mahmoud, Noor, that's his wife, and their son Dean to Gracie Mansion to break our fast together. Mahmoud is a New Yorker, and he belongs in New York City. Well, when the jihad comes out, he'll belong in New York City.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, that is complete lunacy, and all the stuff that he left out there is
by the way,
astonishing.
Chris, you were forgetting to mention the shock. And the first part is that CNN even pretends to have editorial standards. And we have talked in the past about how all of that is Rolling Stone's fault for glorifying the Boston bomber. Here is the hero who should be celebrated, is Chief Aaron Edwards. That's the NYPD officer who was photographed jumping over the barricade as these two lunatic Muslim terrorists were trying to bomb all of the people there.
Right.
That's the actual hero. And there's a huge problem when you have these homegrown Islamic terrorists. These people were saying that they wanted to be bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing. And you're talking about Zoran Mamdani celebrating with the Hamas lover Mahmoud Khalil. My friend John Levine at the Free Beacon also wrote that he was celebrating Ramadan with a different crazy Islamic activist who wants Tel Aviv to be bombed. Zoran Mamdani's wife was literally celebrating Palestinians raping and murdering Jews as it was happening. This is a serious problem. New York City, you got a long way to go.
But she was, the wife of Mamdani was celebrating the rape and torture and murder and kidnapping of Jews in Israel as a private citizen.
That's exactly
that's very important.
Honestly, President Trump, if you're watching, give Chief Aaron Edwards some honor. Bring him to the White House, because you know Mamdani's not bringing him to Gracie Mansion.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.